Welcome, geeks, to the 15th episode of Rock Your Code. I'm sorry, Rockin the Code World with dotNetDave. I'm David McCarter, and I'm really glad you're here. Sorry for messing up the beginning. It's kind of feeling under the weather today, so please forgive any mistakes I make. Oh, wait, I make mistakes every week, so never mind. So anyway, I'm glad you're here for the 15th episode. I have really great guests lined up and some great stuff to give away for prizes today. And before we switch over to whoops, I guess it would help if I actually brought up my PowerPoint deck, wouldn't it? Let me do that. Please stand by. I told you, not feeling great today, so I'm a little bit behind on doing what I need to do. So there you go. So anyway, before we switch over to the slide deck, nope, don't switch yet. Go back. Before we switch to the slide deck, I want to say a special thanks to Scott Hunter, who was the very first guest on show number 1 of the show. And this week, he said on the show, I mentioned on the show that he was wearing this really cool C# hat. And I said, hey, where's my hat? And Scott said, well, we'll send one to you. Well, I got it this week. So here it is. Here's my coveted C# hat. There's very few of these in existence in the world. So I want to say I'm very grateful to Scott Hunter for getting this set up for me. And I'm really grateful for Jeff Fritz, who ended up having to ship it to me. So thanks to both of you guys. And I'm glad I have C# hat. If anybody wants to make me a F# hat or a VB hat, please send it to me and I'll wear it on the show. Actually, if you send me any hat, I'll wear it on the show, as long as it's, politically correct, right? Speaking of politically correct, I don't really watch the Super Bowl, but, the Super Bowl was last weekend, and I heard it wasn't very good, including the halftime show. I did watch a little bit of halftime show, and I had to turn it off because it was just too lame. But anyway, if you live in America and you're following politics, and I don't talk about politics on the show, but if you do, the politics in America this week has been a lot more exciting than the Super Bowl ever has been, especially today, what's been going on in the last 30 minutes or hour, actually. So anyway, let's get the show going. I want to do lots of questions for our guests today. And please start sending your questions for Mahesh. Mahesh Chand is going to be my guest today. He's the founder of CSharpCorner. He's the guy who started doing this and actually started, the live site now. And he's actually, asked me to be a featured writer on the platform, and I'll also do the show on the platform. So anyway, he's going to be my guest today. So I'm really looking forward to that. So if you have any questions or anything like that, please email me at rockincodeworld@csharpcorner.com. I've had this email for a while and I haven't got a single email yet. Come on. Somebody please send me an email to say, hey, Dave, we're watching. Anyway, let's get the show going. So, it's February already. I can't believe it's February. But if you want me to speak at your event this year, or user group, or company, or whatever, please go to that URL and request me to speak. I'll speak virtually all year, of course. But as soon as I get the vaccine, I'll come to your location and speak too. So please request me there, and we'll work it out. I need more speaking gigs, guys. Come on, and girls. Did I miss something? I don't think so. Anyway, this week I wanted to promote the Hello World Cookbook. This cookbook is it's actually a project I started a little while ago, and it's actually going to be a cookbook full of food recipes from geeks just like you and me, and from all over the world. So no matter what country you live in, I want recipes, and 100% of the proceeds of this book, which I'll do in print and ebook, will go to the Voice of Slum NGO in India. If you attended the SQL virtual conference last month, then we raised over $2,000, I think. Mahesh will have to tell me. We raised over $2,000 for the NGO, and so to keep that going, please submit your food recipes. It doesn't cost you a thing to submit a food recipe. If you don't cook, you can also sign up to be a unit tester for the recipes, a graphic artist, English, all that kind of stuff. So here I'm going to show this cool little video, since Mahesh is on it, about my visit to the Voice of Slum 2 years ago.
So today we visited Voice of Slum here in India, and it's actually very incredible the work that they're doing here with the children, to teach them and to basically feed them and make sure that they are healthy enough, and then give them an education to get out of this slum. It's a really worthy cause, and I urge anyone to donate and help.
I agree, and not only donate, but I am truly inspired by the people who run this.
Yeah.
You inspire me.
I think Chandni and Dave, you guys have done an amazing job, and you said, it's very emotional to hear these stories and how much work you guys have done.
So there's the,
I wish you guys success, and we will try to help you as much as we can. We're going to take your message and give it to the community.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. PowerPoint decides to stop playing videos if you click off of it. So anyway, that's a short clip from our visit to the Voice of Slum in India, the most moving experience I've ever had traveling the world, really. And so the kids there, especially during the pandemic, really need your help. And so I hope you'll help them out by donating your time to the book, and so I can get it out as soon as possible. All right, thanks. Giveaway. So we got giveaways as usual. We have Code Rush from DevExpress, my favorite code refactoring tool. And then later, we'll give away a CSharpCorner swag. And you can get some of this stuff on their website now too, but you can get it for free if you know the answer to the question. And I got a comment last week that the question last week was too hard. So, I thought real hard today, and I tried to do one that was really easy. So I hope I came up with a really easy one so you guys can win, because I don't think anybody's won the last 2 weeks. So anyway, so with that, I think the first giveaway, So yesterday, I released a brand new article on CSharpCorner, everything you wanted to know about the new record type in .NET, but we're afraid to ask. And I hope you go check it out. In one day, it's got close to 2,000 reads, I think, already. And I think right before that, I was pushed up into the 100 top writers of CSharpCorner. So I'm really happy about that. I don't have any balloons or confetti to shoot off, but I wanted to get into the top 100 this year. So now I have my my goal set on the number one writer at CSharpCorner, though. I don't think I'll reach that, but gotta have goals, right? Anyway, I also did a funny Twitter poll this past week. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I have these weird things in my head, and so this was the weird thing. And I asked developers, so be honest, people, how much are you bathing during the pandemic, since we're all stuck at home? So it looks like the majority of you are still bathing the same, so that's good. But I'd like to know about the 5.3% of you who don't bathe at all. No, that was there. I put that there for a joke. So anyway, something important to forget while you're in lockdown and pandemic is keep up your health, right? So the first giveaway we have today is, like I said, Code Rush by DevExpress. Code Rush is my favorite refactoring tool. It really, really helps me to be a much, much more productive developer by far. It helps me learn, new techniques and new ways of doing things, and kind of instill those things in my brain. And so, I've worked out, for the show, that all of you can get a free copy of Code Rush by DevExpress by going to devexpress.com/dotNetDave. You can download it. They'll send you an email. You can install it. Boom, you're done. You get you get a real version of Code Rush, which I use every day. I'm coding, and so I was talking to one of the people at DevExpress this week, and they told me you guys aren't downloading this, and I don't know why. It's free. Don't you like free stuff? Don't you like to code faster? Hey, come on, people. Please download Code Rush if you don't have a refactoring tool. And I know I had a guest on from Visual Studio last week, and I'll have a guest on from Visual Studio next week. So I hope they're not watching. But the refactoring tools in Visual Studio are not 1/10% as helpful as what's in Code Rush from DevExpress. So please download. If you don't have a refactoring tool, download it from this URL. If you want me to do a show about what's the best ways of refactoring and what you have to think about and what's the process, reach out to me. Let me know. This is your show. If you want me to do a whole show just on refactoring, let me know. I'll get I'll do it, and maybe I'll get some other people on to help with the show too. So anyway, please download it. I don't make any money from it, so it's I'm just trying to help you guys out. So anyway, with that, I think it's guest time. So my guest today is for the 15th show is Mahesh Chand from CSharpCorner. He's the advisor and on business, on technology, transformation, and innovation, focus on emerging technologies, rapid POCs, digital factory foundation. He's the advisory to CTOs and owners that adapt future-proof technology. Future-proof, there's a word I really like. He's the founder of CSharpCorner, like I said at the beginning of the show, which has a strong community of over 3 billion people, developers. So that's pretty awesome, if you ask me. So welcome, Mahesh.
Hey, David. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, a little under the weather. I think we both are, right? So we'll see how the show goes. So everybody make sure you ask questions because we're both not feeling great today. So I know you're probably snowed in, right?
Yeah, we here in Philadelphia, we are getting snow this week every day almost, 3 to 5 inches every day. And I've never seen this much snow, frankly. It's a lot of snow.
Yeah, it could. I've been watching your tweets, for not only yours, but, other people that I follow and this week and back east. And, you're all saying that, this is the worst snowstorm and, blah, blah, blah. Well, when I was there with you, when I visited you in your house, that was the worst snowstorm that I had to go through when I was there. So I'm glad it's worse now. So
yeah. Hey, we'll go through this.
yeah, it's that's what happens when you live back east, right? And I don't know if most of you know this, but I'm originally from Mahesh's part of the country. I was born in Delaware. Yeah, I know. I never met anybody from Delaware. I know. Don't start saying that. Because no one's from Delaware, it seems, except our president. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy that he's from Delaware. So at least there's two people can say they know from Delaware, right? So
yeah, and hey, cool. By the way, cool hat.
Oh yeah, it really fits well too. I have a huge head, so it's hard for me to get hats that fit. So this actually fits well. It's made out of cloth, not that cheap plastic stuff. So yeah, I like it. I'll be wearing a lot more, on the show. I'm going to switch up hats every show. That's why I'm asking people to, send me hats. I need more hats. I only have 3.
There you go.
Yeah. So, how are you doing? Well, besides the snow, I mean, is your daughter loving the snow? How old's your daughter now?
Listen, we're taking advantage of the situation. She's 3. My son, he's 18, so he obviously is busy with his sports and stuff. But she's 3 and she's enjoying the snow first time. She can get out.
She doing the snow angels?
Yep, she's doing snow angels, throwing balls. in my backyard, there's a little bit hill, so we get a lot of kids there. So in the evenings, you can probably see 20 kids running around. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's one thing that, I don't like living in snow. I like visiting snow, but when I did live in snow when I was a little kid, like your daughter, you know, that's the one thing I really miss from living back east is snow in the winter, so I can go sledding. I
Yep.
love sledding, right? And we
Yeah.
used to go to the parks around there. We used to go to I think like I don't know. I want to say Valley Forge, but it's probably wrong. But anyway, some places, some big like sledding snow places in that area we used to go to as little kids and just go up and down those hills and sled until we couldn't walk anymore. And that's the fun of being a kid. We don't get to do that out here. I mean, you can surf, right? But we don't get the snow like you guys do.
Well, I want to come there and stay in the beach, in the sun, swim
Yeah.
because we don't get that here. So
Yeah, yeah. I like to poke fun at my friends who live in the crappy parts of the country for weather, and whenever the weather's like this, I always say, it's I live a mile from the beach and it's sunny today, and you can always visit me, if you don't
yeah,
want to hang out in the snow,
yeah, yep, yep, yeah,
because we don't get any snow where I live, none, zero,
yeah,
zip. I've lived here most of my life and not one no snow.
yep, yep. I hear you.
Yeah,
Hey, you can visit here and I can visit there.
yeah,
That's what we
yeah.
can do.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
want to come back east again. My aunts and uncles are getting older, and I kind of want to visit them a few times before I can't anymore. So
well, I'm hoping this COVID situation improves by June,
yeah,
July, so we can have in-person conference here in Philadelphia and maybe in Delaware, frankly speaking. And talking about conferences, we still want to think if we can make it to Europe this year
yeah,
at some
yeah,
point because I'm looking forward to that Europe trip for conferences.
yeah. Me too. And I know I'm in the first part of the third phase of getting shots in California. I'm not sure when that will be, because it seems to change like on a daily basis. But at least I'll get it before the general public will. So
Yeah,
hopefully I'll get mine so I can start moving around and traveling. Hopefully and going. I haven't seen my kids. I haven't seen any of my family during this whole time, and so I'm kind of itching to go somewhere, but I'm too. I'm being overly cautious. Because. Of the different strains coming out and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, and I hear next month might be the worst month. So hopefully not, but we'll see. Uh,
yep, yep.
so so it's snowing back there. So what else? What else is going on in So what's big in your world besides C Sharp Corner? I think everybody knows you from C Sharp Corner, but what else is going on?
Well, in CSharpCorner itself, we are pretty busy last year.
Yeah,
We launched several features in C Sharp Live. This was one big thing.
yeah,
We just launched the store, and there's a lot of things coming on CSharpCorner itself. We are kind of working on the platform and making more like more engaging. That's what we are going for. Is think of like LinkedIn kind of where you can get more out of this, not just reading articles and getting code. So that's kind of our big thing coming out. Slowly, we're going to start launching different new features every few months or so. So
yeah,
that's we've been busy. Work wise, it's busy. I don't know. Some of the folks here they know I am. I'm involved in startups a lot.
hmm
I've been doing this for I think for last 5 years or so. Or maybe more longer actually. So I advise startups. We have a couple of our own startups, and the startup world is different. While
yeah,
it's very entertaining, it's fun. It's it also frustrating because it's hard to get the customers. It's hard to making a real business, start making money and all that.
yeah,
I don't know if, people if they know only 3% of startups are actually successful. That's
right,
that's the number. That's the data. So you have to try at least 10 of them to see if one of them is going to be successful. But fun part with the startup is you're always working with fun technology, fun thing, cool stuff, So that's good part. And what I am noticing during COVID times is all the entrepreneurs, they were doing this part time, doing their own startups. Now they have more time.
Yeah.
So they're really busy. Frankly speaking, most of my friends, they're like, obviously we're all going through these rough time, but all my friends who I talk to and they are in startups and this entrepreneurship, they loving it. They have so much time now in their hands. They can get all the work they're planning to for a long time, and they can hire people remotely. There are a lot of people working remotely. Work is being done remotely. So there's a lot of work happening actually underground, you know. And I'm also in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and electric vehicle, solar, all those technologies. And I don't know if you heard or anybody heard, Bitcoin is going nuts. It's already almost $3,000. It was $3,000 a year ago.
Yeah, I
uh,
know.
and I told a bunch of friends, hey, I'm buying some Bitcoins, and some of them they bought, and some they sold when it was 10,000. They'll text me all the time like, oh, why did I sell it? I'm like, I don't know. I needed that. So that's kind of fun going on. It's kind of more like a gamification. Think of that. Otherwise people are bored. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things going on that side. Besides that, I'm also writing on new things. I'm like you. I'm always writing, learning new things. Anything we learn, we try to write about it. So I'm trying to get more stuff out on CSharpCorner. I am working with several groups. We are writing different books and content for CSharpCorner. So there's a new book coming out on WPF.
Hmm.
I wrote a WPF book, I think, 5, 7 years ago,
Yeah.
but it was never published because, obviously WPF was going down, demand was going down. So I thought it was
Right.
not even worth publishing it. Then I just talked to a young guy. He said he wrote a book on WPF. He's a young C Sharp Corner MVP, and he wrote a book on WPF. And he said, I want to publish it. And I looked at the book, and it was okay. But it wasn't good enough or big enough. And so
Right.
I gave him my book, which is about thousands of pages, and say, why don't
Wow.
you merge both of them, and then we will publish it together. So that's kind of I'm working on behind the scene. I'm also working on a Blazor book.
Hmm.
Blazor, I don't know you start doing work with Blazor or not, but Blazor
A
is
little
being
bit.
it's
Yeah.
very exciting, right? I'm working with a client. He's one of the biggest client of Mindcracker. So my other company besides C Sharp Corner, which is a community, my real work is Mindcracker. Mindcracker Inc. is a software consulting firm here, local star here in Philadelphia. We are
Hmm.
small, so we get different projects from clients. And right now we are working on Blazor, and this is a large project, several year project. It's not we don't have a lot of people on it, but it's in Blazor, and it's going to be exciting. We're still starting it. We are still kind of doing more like a analysis phase right now. We're
Right.
like a designing, so coding has not really started yet. So I am going to need some help on Blazor. So anybody who is working with Blazor and looking for a part-time, full-time job, we may be hiring that.
Awesome.
And on talking about Blazor, I actually want to rewrite the whole C Sharp corner in Blazor,
Yeah, that'd be awesome, actually. Yeah.
entire platform, because
Yeah.
it's written in ASP.NET, and ASP.NET can be pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have any questions yet, so people
We
please
have
ask
one.
questions.
Oh,
Well,
there's
yeah,
a question. Yeah.
about Blazor, you kind of talked about that already, but you're using Blazor at a startup, you said, right?
No, this is not a
Oh,
startup. This is a large corporation. With the startups, I am not seeing
oh no,
Blazor.
you're trying to find someone to help you guys out. And yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So what startups I'm seeing is more every startup I'm working with, either they are using React for their website and React Native for their apps.
Mhm.
That's what I'm seeing a lot. Most of the startups, besides two, I think two are using Blazor. Three of them are more just like iOS app. So they are just everything iOS. Backend is .NET. .NET Core is for the APIs. That's what we are using a lot. Backend database is MySQL, and it's on Azure, and some are on AWS. So this is kind of, I'm seeing a big trend where .NET Core is being used for the backend part, right? C Sharp and .NET,
Yeah.
and then front end is usually a React or some kind of light, JavaScript library or framework, and a lot of PWA is also kind of in big demand these days. Progressive web apps.
Yeah.
And progressive web apps is just, it's more like a functionality you just add to your existing or new apps.
Right.
And I don't know, you probably know Chris Love, right? You know Chris
Yeah.
Love. He is a pro in PWA, so I always pick on him. You should get him on guest his show as well.
Oh,
Talk
yeah,
about
I should.
PWA.
Let me write
Yeah.
that down.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to talk about startups, but you've already done some episodes about that. Because, the one thing I would like to say about startups is number one, every startup I've been a part of doesn't exist anymore. And so, so that's one thing. But the good part about, I'm kind of glad I did work for startups in the beginning because it gave me such a broader a depth of knowledge of everything, right?
Yeah.
From instead of just being pigeonholed in one thing, like a lot of I think developers kind of get into these days. When you're at a startup, you have to wear many different hats because they don't have the money to pay for those hats, right? So you get stuck doing it. And including, I used to have to do server work and reboot servers because I used to work like 2 blocks from where I live, so they'd call me up and say, "Hey, Dave, can you go reboot the server?" And so
yeah, you said it right. That's the challenging part. If any of our viewers they want to join a startup, the challenge is there can be a good growth, there can be a lot of work and different kind of work, different challenging work. But usually, they struggle with unless they are big startup already got funding, they struggle on financial side, right? If you're really starting, and as you said, most of the startups don't even make it. Only 3% they make it successfully, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to show up this question? What's really missing now in the UI Blazor design tools? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean. I think there's a lot of things missing in UI Blazor, and my background is like you, Dave. We come from, you did VB, I did a little bit VB, but I am from Visual C Sharp, and we used to be using a lot of designers, right? Drag and drop and wizards and set up that. So Blazor is not there yet. So it's like just platform is there, framework is there. You can create projects, but not too many controls are there. But what we are doing is there's a couple of nice libraries out there. They're open source, and some are obviously Sync Fusion, Dev Express, and Fragistics. They also have their Blazor control libraries, and they're kind of pretty much same the way you used to do in ASP.NET, right?
And so Jeff Fritz has a library too, right? Jeff Fritz
has a library. We are using a couple of controls from that. It says Blazor components. Yeah, so you search for Blazor components, Jeff Fritz. It's a free open source on GitHub. He has a bunch of tools, and I think they're adding more controls to that library. But we are also using. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to put it out there that Blazor is still a baby, and so it's still really the only second version, only the first full version that everything works, right? So got to be patient a little bit, but at least for me with Blazor, I kind of see the future with Blazor, right? And so that's why I'm making sure that people don't say, oh well, there's not enough blah blah blah, so I'm going to use something else. So just be patient, it'll happen.
What I like Blazor about is being a C# .NET background is you find it like, oh, this is your your backyard. You don't need to learn anything really new.
Right.
It's pretty simple. You create these components, which is similar to like we used to create user controls. You can place them and reuse them and so on and so forth. And the backend is all C#. So, and I'm talking about Blazor server here, which is kind of similar to that. And there's Blazor, obviously, WebAssembly, which you can. There's a full show on this topic on C#.live videos. I had a guest Michael Washington, and he's a Blazor guru kind of.
Yes, he
You
is.
know,
Yeah.
so he talked about that there as well. Yeah. So I think it's good. I mean, Blazor is one more thing for us to use in different. It has a, for our clients, they're like, hey, we want to stick with .NET because our other projects are .NET, our other projects are in C Sharp, our backend is we are on this and this, so we want to stick with .NET and C Sharp. So that made sense rather than building front end in Angular or React.
Yeah.
We just end up staying with Blazor, and it's working fine. It does everything what we need to do.
Yeah.
Um,
And that brings up something that it's been happening to me recently, as recently as this week, and that is, as long as I've been in this career, we've always been fighting about what's the best tool, to do whatever, and it's been really frustrating, to me, and I come from the VB days, back before .NET, and so we got picked on a lot in those days. I mean, constantly, by the
Yes.
C++ developers constantly picked on us, saying, well, you're not a real language and blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
But, I developed a story even back then in the 90s that, I learned, at least at that startup that I worked at, 2 or 3 blocks from where I live, is that, the one thing that we did at that startup that was very, very smart, and that is, we used the right tool for the job, right? It was Microsoft said it was the first actual public product, client server product that used DCOM, if you remember DCOM, if you're
Oh, I
old enough to
remember
remember
DCOM. I
DCOM,
worked
right?
with DCOM. Yeah, I even, the guy who created DCOM, he was my, he wrote my, he was my editor of my book when I published my
Yeah.
first book.
And I think somebody from Microsoft told me, I can't believe you guys figured this out. But we did, the reason that we were able to come up with a full-blown client server
All right,
major application.
we got an attack here. So you want to say hi,
Oh,
baby?
hi.
Can I talk? Okay, we did. Hey, working from home. Welcome to the life work from home. See, once in a while, she always try to stop by. Then she sees and she leaves. Sorry about that, guys.
Hey, it's live is live, right? But that was a full-blown client server app, and actually the company that I used to work for in San Diego was our first local customer a long time ago. And anyway, there was only 6 developers, right? And there were 4 back-end guys doing it in C++, and then there's me and Woody Pewitt, who you might have heard about. He used to work for Microsoft and he used to be a DE. We did the front end in VB, right? And that product would have not gotten out if we did the front end in C++, right?
Yep.
Not in a year, right?
Yep. It takes time. It used to take a lot of time.
Right. And so, where I'm trying to go with this is something that happened this week, and what happened this week is a common mistake I see in companies, mainly larger companies like the one I currently work in. I work on a contract right now with a Fortune 25 company, and they are beginning to make the mistake I see companies make over and over again, where somebody comes in and says, "Oh, we're going to write everything in Java.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're not going to use any other language, any other platforms, nothing like that. Everything is Java." And we're just going, what? That is just, you're an owner of a company. That is just kind of crazy, don't you think?
That's bad. Yeah, that's bad in
Yeah.
the sense because business as a business, you should not be focusing on what technology language
Right.
you're going to use. You should be focusing on solution.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that's why when I advise, I go to my role with these companies is I hardly write any code. These days, all code I write is for fun myself for CSharpCorner. But I'm involved in architecting solutions, usually large applications, or anything around innovation means new ideas, new new way to solve problems. For example, we are using a lot of AR, VR, augmented reality. We are using mixed reality. I'm working with HoloLens, so I'm doing some UWP a little bit here and there. That's because that's what HoloLens runs. And same thing
Hmm.
with some with we are building app for Alexa. So we are kind
Yeah.
of with Alexa and your IoTs and your AR VR. Then obviously data is stored in AWS. There's APIs there. There's data back in databases. They work with other systems like we have systems they are built on in SharePoint and somewhere else, and so that's big data is there also. So point here is for every software developer who's watching here, goal is not these. See, all these technologies are to solve a business problem.
Right.
They are not the solution, right? Technology itself is not a solution. It's to solve a problem, and your goal should be what's the fastest and cheapest way to get there, and that can sustain for longer time.
Right.
And the reason I want to finish this is that, as you said, VB was really popular those days, because VB was you were able to quickly build those applications.
Right.
Now that trend is coming back. There's more and more low code, no code platforms are now being more popular because businesses don't care. We listen, they're like,
No.
we just want a website. We just want this application. That's all we
Yeah.
care. They don't care.
Right.
And
No.
if a company owner is coming like, oh, everybody quit everything, just build everything in Java, that seems like a bad idea unless there is one Java lover and he just loves Java.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah, yeah,
and I mean, and I guess, because you're a business owner and you've done this a lot, and I haven't, I don't run a company, except for my own consulting company, and, I don't have employees like you do and stuff like that. But, so I've been beating the drum beat, about this is the wrong way to approach things, from my end, right? And, but I don't seem to get a lot of people listening to me very much, and now that I see it happening, in real time. I mean, I've seen this happen before, but I'm actually watching it happen now, right? And I'm just going, I can't believe companies are still doing things this way, right?
Well, here's an example, right? I agree. So
Yeah,
there will be a client when we get to the client, they already made up their minds.
right,
They're like, hey, you guys come help us, but we are building in this way. That's fine too.
right,
I just say, okay, so you need 2 consultants. Let us find you consultants who can help with that. But I'm not involved in those because there's nothing I can do about there.
right,
My goal is, I don't get involved in those because, it's fine. Listen, and I understand this guy owner who's coming use Java. Maybe he's more familiar with Java. He's
Right.
more confident, which makes sense because just in case something happens, they know somebody can go and handle that, which is nothing
Right.
wrong with that, as long as there's the right technology to build something. Because if you're saying, oh, I want an iOS app, and oh, you have to use Java, guess what? That may not be the right choice.
yeah,
So we are seeing, like, I think companies are using almost everything these days.
right,
They are not
Right.
just .NET or Java. They're just using, depends on what makes better sense for each project. That's how, that's how I suggest or recommend any company I meet or anywhere I'm advising.
right. And I think, like you brought up, is the customer doesn't care, right? The customer could care less what is written in. All they wanted is to work and not to crash. I mean,
Yeah.
and not to expose your data to hackers, right? That's the only
Yeah.
thing we want. I mean, customers want.
Yeah, it's user friendly, it's high
Right.
performance, and it's secure, and it doesn't crash, and it's easy to navigate. That's all user really care about.
Right, right.
It's
Yeah.
a few simple things, right?
Yeah. And, you're also talking about, we do solutions. And now, I've been thinking a lot about this recently and because that's the way I am. I've always, I develop solutions, business solutions for companies. I've never really written a game. I've never done apps like that. I've done mostly business apps for the most part. And because, I do that on purpose because I know those kind of positions, you'll always have a job, right? And,
Yes. And they pay
so-
well.
and they pay well. They probably don't pay as well as, some guy locked in a closet at Microsoft doing the new whatever they're doing there, right? But, it does pay well. And so, But so that's the way I approach software engineering. Now, there are other types of software engineers, right? There are the guys who write the really, really low end stuff. There's the people who, used to use VB script and say they were developers, right? And so there's lots of different, types of developers and types of ways of doing things. But,
those number of jobs are very less, right?
Yeah, right.
You're working on a product. Like I know a couple of friends, they work for Adobe and they're writing their Adobe product in C++
Right.
or C, or you're writing a compiler with, you're writing a, C# compiler and all those. Those are there, but those jobs are pretty kind of, like if I'm in that team, I'm probably working for 10 years.
Yeah, in the same
team. They're not just like, okay, there's a new job coming every week.
Yeah.
So most jobs are, hey, we need to build a website, we build an app, we need this, we need that. It's like a business applications. That's where the big demand is. And I think go ahead.
No, and I think that's kind of where I was going. Is that especially in today's fast-paced world, right? We're expected to get software out faster and faster and faster and faster, right?
Yep.
And there's no such thing anymore. It was 6 months, release times, right? We don't have 6 months to release stuff anymore. 2 years, like Visual Studio used to do, right? It's weekly, and so we don't have time to do a lot of the low end stuff we used to. But I'd also like to say is we shouldn't have to, right? Because a lot of that stuff's already built, right? So why not just go out and use it, whether it's open source, whether it's third party product, and get it in, get your job done, and get going, right? Because so.
And on that topic, I was talking to somebody, and and listen, I love writing code. I used to write a lot more code. A lot of us do, but when it frustrates me when people, some developers, they just want to write code because they love to write code.
Right.
But that's not the right reason. That's not good for business.
No.
Right.
It's good for you. It's good for you if you like something to do, but it's not a good business.
If you're bored in life, I understand that, yes. But it's bad for, and even though in long run it's bad for you as well, because business is going to get frustrated. Hey, why is taking so long? While there's already something built there. There's a reason, there's already built-in libraries out there. There's already control there. There's a framework there. And that is what the reason is, because the low code, no code is now growing fast, as because we as a software developers cannot build software applications fast enough.
Right.
Business has to continue to evolve because hardware is evolving much faster. Every day we are getting a new hardware. It's either a new car or a new device, new IoT, but there's no software to run that. So we have to move fast. And that's why there's so much demand of software developers in the US.
Yeah. And so, I guess because of my personal experiences this week, but I've run into this again almost my entire career, where it literally, I can't get companies to pay for third-party software, right? And I've even written articles for CSharpCorner that I've said that, look, here's a project I couldn't got done in 3 hours if I had this $300 piece of software, right? But since I didn't have that, it took me 3 days. So you tell me which one is more cost effective in that scenario, right? And I'm just floored that I've been in this business as long as I have, and I'm still feeling like I'm, going up. It's an uphill battle to try to get companies to look at this kind of way of, rapid application development, because that's where I grew up in the rapid application development world. And so I do want to, I don't want to belabor the point too much, but, I do want to have a show just wrapped around this and maybe explore, with some people about, why is this so difficult, and, how can we make it better and fix it maybe, but.
And I can give you a couple of points. What my thought on this is that, first of all, people are lazy in general. They don't want to learn new things, right? That's a fact. Right. And it's not just me, it's a fact. So every time you go and tell them there's a new tool, you gotta use it, even though in long term it will make your life easier. They just don't want to learn new thing, right? And if decision maker is one of those guys who say, you know what, I love Java, everything should be in Java, and how can you make that decision? Say use the third party tool.
Yeah.
So it's all about decision makers. It's not even about software, developers who are writing code, because some companies won't even allow. Like I work with all these large corporations to get even a library to use. It has to go through a big approval process,
I
and
know.
chances are it will not get approved.
Well, it's just too
So
much work, and so they don't do it, right?
not only too much work, they
Yeah.
don't know, they are afraid, they're like, oh, it's just third party, how the licensing work, is it secure, who's in the open source, and so many, so there's so other many things go on, right?
Right.
It's getting better. I mean, it's getting better in recent like few years. There's companies are now, okay, if you don't care, go ahead build. There's companies like that, listen, we don't care, you just go build it. But
Yeah.
problem comes when there's a micromanager where no, we have to do my way, this is the only way we need to do. So that's where you kind of get stuck in there.
Yeah. And kind of circling back to, what the company that I work at, said this week about, they're thinking about mandating Java everywhere, which is insane to me. At least the developers of my team, and I'm sure a lot of other developers at the company were going, yeah, but what about me?
Yeah.
It's what about all these people that write in all, I mean, this is a huge corporation, they write in so many different platforms, right?
Well,
And everybody's going,
yeah.
you know,
The problem with you cannot do everything in Java in today's world.
right, I know.
So
It's
they're large corporation. I'm sure they're building APIs. I'm sure they're building web applications. I'm sure they're building, different components or, like, who knows? But you cannot just say build everything in Java, because first of all, Java is not as adaptable as like C Sharp, right?
right,
C Sharp,
right.
you see every 3 months there is a new feature coming out, and they are more modern, they're easy to learn and all that. So I'm not even sure how you can build everything in Java. That doesn't make sense to me.
It makes no sense. And, I don't know if this is related, but a manager has already quit. So, I'm not sure if the two are related, but, I
Yeah.
can start seeing, people starting to drop going, well, there's no future for me here, so I might as well leave, and that's unfortunately how you lose a lot of people sometimes. And I'm not saying that, that's what's going to happen to this company or that's what this company is thinking, but that's how you lose good people, is by making decisions like this, and especially decisions that don't seem to be based on a lot of fact,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
or even like I get frustrated even at this company that we cannot use Azure. Do you know why we can't use Azure? Is because the CTO of the company had a run-in with somebody at Microsoft, and now he's decided he hates Microsoft. So we are not allowed to use Azure, and I'm just going,
Yeah, you cannot bring, see, as a business, you don't want to bring emotions, right? Because
yeah,
if it's hurting the business, that's just bad for business. I mean, you don't have to use Azure, you can use AWS, they do pretty much same thing.
yeah,
I'm sure, we do. I work with a lot of companies, I recommend some things. They're like, well, this is great, but we cannot use Azure because everything on our is AWS, which is fine. Then, but there are certain products and certain companies, they use both.
yeah,
And if
and
you
you
look at
should.
the numbers, yeah, you look at the numbers, most of the Fortune 500,000 company, they using all cloud. It's not one or other. They use multiple, depending on what product and what functionality is better provided by what. IBM
Hmm.
may have Watson is a better feature for something you want to use, and obviously
Right,
Azure may have cognitive services, and AWS may has a better mail and cheaper mail service. So you
yeah,
have to, yeah, be kind of open to all that as a company. Obviously you have to get approval, open accounts, corporate accounts, and all that. And one company I work with, they just everything is we just want to deal with the AWS. That's it. So everything has to go through that, which is fine. That's they're
yeah,
more like a business decision.
right, right.
Yeah.
But that's for some reason this popped in my head, is that this is what's leading to something new that we're seeing, and that is when when Amazon or Microsoft decides that they're not going to let you on your platform, you don't have a business anymore.
Yeah, today's world, yeah.
Like
Even
Parlor.
funny thing is, we were hosting CSharpCorner with Reg Space, and they kind of messed us up. They
Yeah,
basically, our they got, our server got hacked or not. There was spyware on it, and they said, hey, we don't have backup, literally, and you
yeah,
can do nothing about it. So it's
yeah,
like that's what they said. And then we move everything to Azure. Now they're like, oh, we could have done this for you, Azure. And we're like, why do I need you then, right? We can go to Azure ourselves. This it's like that's the
yeah.
best
I,
part. Is.
I don't have time to tell a story about how Rackspace screwed up a company I worked at too.
Yeah, we
So
should have shown that.
how
You know,
Rackspace messed up our business.
yeah, how they messed up C Sharp Corner.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting all these stories we have, and I got to start wrapping up the show. But I'd love to have you on again. I mean, this is your platform anyway, but still, the reason I'm saying that is because I love to have you on as a, from the more business, CEO kind of standpoint, where I don't come from that kind of world to talk about these things, because I think it'd be eye opening, and I hope maybe it was for some of you that's watching today, is just to see how maybe some of developers look at things and how managers look at things, and because I think if we all try to understand each other a little better, maybe we can get this stuff done faster and more efficient, and not quit our jobs because we're so frustrated. So um,
Yeah, keep me reserved when you don't have guests. I'm here and focus. When I come here, just keep the focus more like a business and building products and all that side, non-technical. I'm fine. Yeah, just let me know whenever you need me.
well, before we go though, I know we talked about your daughter and the snow in the beginning, but what do you do for fun? I don't even know the answer to this question. So, what do you do for
What?
fun
So
besides coding
yeah,
or
so
tech?
I am very dangerous when it comes to fun. Uh, so if you leave me alone, just myself for 4, 5, 8 hours in a room, and if I go to other room, you will see there's literally 20 pencils with different colors, and there are a couple of sketchbooks. I am designing probably one of the new startups, which I don't even know what that is.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I just create all these. I look at any problem and I try to build a new startup on everything, which is a
Yeah.
really bad, because then I start registering these domains, start creating these startups with they go nowhere obviously, because
Yeah.
you can only do certain work, right? So
Yeah.
literally that's what I do. That's one thing I would do if I'm staying home. But if I am outside, and I'm a very social person, I'm not a somebody who sits home writes code. uh, when I'm social, I'm just hanging out with friends, going out. Going out to eat a lot. I'm not a big traveler. I'm not like, oh, I need to go travel here. That's not me.
Hmm.
But I'm heavily involved in sports. Um,
Yeah. You
I'm
go.
not.
Your son is kind of big up in basketball, right? Did he get a
Yeah, so
scholarship or
he's
something?
in high school. Yeah, he should be
Oh,
getting a scholarship.
yeah.
This year is a big year. He's junior, so I'm hoping. I think he's going to get some scholarships. Some college already talking to him. He had a game yesterday, so I
Hmm.
have never missed his games ever in my life until now, like pandemic, because we're not allowed to
Yeah.
go there. But I'm
Yeah.
still watching them online. And when he was young, I coached him. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of actively involved. I every day I work out. It's not a lot, but it's whatever I do. I want to make sure I work out half an hour. It could be anything, doesn't matter. And then I watch a lot of movies. Once in a week I take breaks where I don't just lay down on the floor, no couch, nothing. And I'll end up watching action movies. So
Yeah.
that's kind of,
Well,
and I write a lot, right? Read and write a
yeah.
lot. That's kind of fun for us too, learning new things and writing about it.
Yeah, I didn't think you had any time to do anything but run your company. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's a good thing is, even though they all look like a million things, but keep in mind we all work.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know. Besides sleeping, all we do is work, right?
yeah. That's all I do the past year.
So if you take the 6, 7 hours sleeping, then you got a lot of time, and
Yeah, Yeah,
So
I definitely
yeah,
watch too much Netflix. That's my downfall right now. Is Netflix? I watch too much Netflix. But
yes.
but that's because I live
We all
alone,
do now.
and
Yeah.
yeah, well, I live alone. I need noise in my house and stuff, you know. Um, but I want to thank you for being on the show. And you know, I kind of want to wrap up on time because I have another show I'm recording in 30 minutes with Alan. So I gotta take a break and have some lunch before that show. So welcome, and I'll keep you in you know, the list of people I can call anytime I don't have a scheduled guest. I think Richard Lander's in that list too. So he said he'd come on anytime and talk about Raspberry Pi. So
There you go.
I've got a fallback list now, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yep. Well, thanks for having me, and just let me know when you need me. I'm here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for being on the
Thank
show.
you. Bye.
That was that was a great. You know, I that went by too fast as usual. You know, I hope it went well. I'm not feeling great, so it's been harder for me to keep up on what's going on in the show today. So we didn't get a lot of questions, so I hope you'll send me questions. You know, I'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. I mean, on the last slide. So let's get to the slides because I got something I got to do in 30 minutes. So I don't know if you guys know, but maybe I'm announcing it for the first time, but there's going to be an Azure Cosmos DB conference. Woohoo! I love Azure Cosmos DB. I need to learn a lot, and I'll be glued to every minute of this conference because I need to learn more about it. But anyway, it's on April 20th and 21st. You know, CSharpCorner and the guy who's running the conference, we're all kind of working together to help promote this conference and, you know, get, you know, more of you looking at Cosmos DB if you're not using it already. So go there. I haven't even gone to the URL because I just got this slide. So I don't, you know, I don't know if you can go register now, but go check that out in April. So here's the CSharpCorner gifts. My friend Mark, I think, who's online, can't answer because he's already won some. So I made this really easy for you today because I haven't been giving away gifts because no one's been getting the answer. So hopefully this will be super, super easy for you if you know anything about .NET. Ready? What are the three main programming languages in .NET? I know there's like a 10-second delay in the chat, so that's why I have the little song playing. Anybody know what the three main languages in .NET? They've been this way for a long time. Anybody? Okay. Well, maybe someone will get it on the next slide. Thanks everybody for watching. Next week, like I said early in the show, I have Leslie Richardson. She's the technical program manager at Microsoft on the Visual Studio team. So if you heard me kind of drilling into Visual Studio topics last week with Kendra, I'm going to be doing that more with Leslie. So Leslie, I hope you're preparing. I'll send you some questions. Anyway, I hope you'll tune in next week for that show. Please stay safe about COVID. Please listen to your medical professionals about what to do and what not to do. Please get the shot as soon as you can, if you can. I kind of wish I was in India because I could get it right now, I think. I don't know when I'm going to get it in America, which really kind of sucks at this point. But anyway, if you're just wanting to help your if you're just wanting to help your fellow human, please go donate blood at your local blood bank. They're in a dire shortage right now because people need your blood and people aren't donating. And so I donated a couple of weeks ago. I'll be donating again in a couple of weeks. And so it's free, it's easy, it doesn't take anything but your time, and it'll make you feel better inside about doing that. Please send me your questions to Rockin The Code World at CSharpCorner.com, and I will see you next week.